Welcome to my extreme life. Today we'll witness some hilariously wild scenes. The girl didn't know why her mum hurried her out, but closed the door. Her mum then took out a spoonful of mysterious white liquid. Before long, Mum was misty-eyed with happiness, then collapsed to the floor, shaking uncontrollably, making weird sounds. Outside, little Xiaomi immediately covered her ears in pain, telling the neighbor uncle about it, but he just looked confused. The neighbor uncle invited Xiaomi for dinner and made her bed, but Xiaomi's mum soon arrived, complicating things. Mei Ling seemed to care for Xiaomi, but in reality, all her cash went to drugs. She couldn't even spare a dime for Xiaomi's needs. Hungry, Xiaomi started stealing. Getting beaten up was just part of life, and seeing the uncle coming, she immediately called for help with it, but uncle pretended not to recognize her and walked away, stabbing Xiaomi's heart. Still, despite this, uncle was always her most reliable person, especially when she had no place to go. He was always there to take her in. Mom once again spouted some meaningless, utterly unclear drivel that left me speechless. She warned, if I come home late, you'll never see me again. She couldn't even remember her own address or phone number. Every time she drank, she'd joke about how dying together would be way more fun. Even though uncle was worse than a loser, I didn't hate him, because I hadn't experienced anything with someone I liked yet. Just the thought of it brings me a deep pain in the heart. So Mom is coming back, but this poor kid is totally ignored by Mei Ling, whose only desire is drugs. To get her fix, Mei Ling even stole a big batch of drugs from the gang and hid them in her camera. So, the bumbling second-in-command Wonsun faced his boss' wrath, too scared to even squeak. Wonsun didn't dare breathe a word because the boss was a real tough cookie. You know this already, right? Wonsun's bro Wonchi couldn't wait to pay a visit to Mei Ling's place, to interrogate her about the stash. He even pressed a hot hairdryer against Mei Ling's thigh right in front of Xiaomi. Mei Ling couldn't stand it anymore and spilled about Uncle's pawn shop. Wonsun sent his goons over, but seeing the knife-wielding Huey Mao, Uncle remained unfazed. He even pulled out his wallet and urged them to leave. What a scene it was, both funny and sad. The 300-pound big guy wasn't having it and charged Uncle. He ended up smashing into the window, almost meeting his maker. Once she downstairs sent killer Jinkun to find the camera fast or kill Xiaomi. That's when Uncle realized Xiaomi was kidnapped, but after handing over the camera, Jinkun blasted a shot at the big guy, and Uncle didn't even flinch when he saw him drop. Uncle's true identity began to unravel. He deliberately left behind a phone, but didn't mention Xiaomi. He rushed out after them, but they had already sped off, and Xiaomi was screaming in fear. The car sped off. Uncle called the police, but on hearing it was drug trafficking and kidnapping, they dodged responsibility instantly. Uncle hung up disappointed, just to receive a call from Wonchi, who told him to drive a specified car for a deal. Once the deal was done, they'd free Xiaomi and Mei Ling. Uncle agreed it was a trap for the drug lord to ship. The icy uncle met the overly eager drug lord, who completely missed the chill in the air, while Uncle placed a bag of white powder right on the table. The drug lord was puzzled. He was supposed to meet a Chinese client, yet here stood Uncle at the designated spot. The boss immediately got alert as Wonchi called the cops right on time. He didn't care about Wonzong or Wonchi. So the two brothers decided to finalize the deal, but the boss had slipped away like a worm before the cops stormed in. Uncle jumped into his car and began the chase, accelerating to overtake them. He forced the boss car to stop with a brutal crash, injuring the boss and finally catching him, while Uncle's car flung open the trunk during the impact. What lay in the trunk was the woman's corpse, covered in knife wounds. It was horrifying, and upon inspection, they found out her organs were harvested while she was awake, obviously a victim of the cruel underworld. And this woman was Mei Ling, who worked at the nightclub. Her little daughter Xiaomi was also kidnapped. Too young, Xiaomi couldn't find employers, so an old lady took her to a dark room. In this room with Xiaomi, there were other kids too, all of them victims of the same abduction. They did everything together as long as they stayed alive, barely hanging in there. With thoughts of Xiaomi's grim fate, Uncle could no longer stay put. He bolted from the police station, determined to save her. When Xiaomi was kidnapped, they left behind a phone, but it had been reset to serve as the trafficker's tool. Uncle found the seller of the phone and inquired about who had purchased it, but upon seeing that he was alone, the boss looked at him with a puzzled expression But the boss, seeing the gentle Uncle, calculated in his head and almost sent his goons to deal with him. He figured out how to contact Wonchi, who ran that nightclub and also their drug-dealing hub. As Uncle stepped inside, news broke that Wonzong and Wonchi had both hidden away, leaving Huey Mao to sell drugs. Upon seeing Uncle, Huey Mao immediately trembled and quickly grabbed his knife, intending to defend himself, but just as he was about to draw it, Uncle countered and quipped with a smile, "Looking for your girlfriend now, huh?" Huey Mao talked big, but after Uncle cranked up the pressure, he immediately spilled where Xiaomi was. But just then, Jinkun barged in to silence him, and Uncle quickly ducked into the side room. Doing-kun kept shooting, and when he checked the room, he found a different lady had collapsed instead. Just as Doing-kun stared in disbelief, Uncle leapt from the side room, disarmed him, and they squared off. Doing-kun couldn't keep up, and Uncle grabbed the gun first. Doing-kun bolted for it. Uncle chased after him, only to be blocked by a crowd, and Won-sung proudly tossed the phone aside. Then he bolted away swiftly, and Uncle followed immediately but got shot. He couldn't go far from there. Mindless rushing won't help, he needs a gun. Uncle seeks a friend when Won-sung calls. How many people did you gather? Who wants to kill you? That guy is just one person. He's just one person. How many did you get ready? Just wait until he sees you tomorrow. Tomorrow, you'll find out they're all gone. Meanwhile, the police uncovered the footage of Uncle escaping the precinct. Soon, they looked into his identity but couldn't access it. They had to apply up the chain. Finally, they got access and found Uncle was a special agent from the intelligence agency responsible for many assassination missions. Specially skilled in the field of assassination, he had vanished years ago. This was his first appearance, and the case was swiftly assigned to the intelligence agency based on Uncle's network. He had only one contact. That was an old teammate of his from the last mission, who had smoothly retired after the first assignment and began his own venture. Uncle went home to accompany his pregnant wife, but during her final checkup, an unexpected incident occurred. On his way home, Uncle spotted a maternity store. He decided to buy a pair of baby shoes for the soon-to-arrive child, but just then, a truck suddenly barreled through, and his wife and child in the car died on the spot, while Uncle was also hit. Watching the blood flow from the car, he cried out to the heavens, his heart shattered. After wife and child died, Uncle shut himself off until Saomi entered his life. Had his child survived, they would be the same age as Saomi. Saomi's mom, driven mad by addiction, often roamed alone, and Uncle carefully nurtured her, having failed to save his wife and child, but he would surely rescue Saomi this time. He reached out to his friend and carefully extracted the bullet himself without the use of anesthesia. Subsequently, he decided to chop off the long hair that was hiding his entire persona and even managed to get hold of a gun. An agent was ready to return, Saomi still trapped in the old lady's dark room, to be taken away tonight. The poor child had absolutely no inkling that what awaited her was the brutal process of being harvested alive for organs. Doon-kun felt a pang of regret upon witnessing the scene, but just then, the situation took a turn. Saomi noticed the cut on her head and stuck a band-aid on it, naively asking Doon-kun. She innocently believed she had been kidnapped by a gang of loyal ruffians, unaware that it was actually the most vicious and ruthless mafia organization in Korea, one that slaughtered people as casually as if it were a mere game. The underlings relied on threats well for the boss, killing had to be clean and quick. To make quick cash, the Snake Gang didn't hesitate to abduct children, holding these unfortunate kids captive. They worked in a drug factory, and under extreme pressure, many kids passed out. And the unconscious children often received no treatment at all. Instead, they were rushed to the next room for surgery. During the dirtiest, most desperate moments in this world, organs needed for surgeries would be taken without remorse. As the butcher prepared to inject the girl with anesthesia, Uncle appeared behind her out of nowhere. Determined not to let the girl get hurt, the butcher seemed bewildered, as if encountering something he'd never seen before. Next, once she was badly hurt, Uncle made Won-sung listen to his brother's screams. Who is this? In trouble? How about an hour, and I'll come take you away. You scumbag. You probably don't know who we are if anything happens to my brother. If he touches my hair again, you wouldn't want to know what will happen. That kid's eyes and ribs will. The ruthless Won-sung, who never batted an eyelid at killing, suddenly felt a pang of fear, hastily ordering his men to promptly locate a child named Saomi. Find that kid and gouge his eyes out. But Uncle was busy too after moving the child. He tied a bag of rice and an oil lamp together, making a simple explosive. He turned on the gas, maxed it out, and once she realized. Little did Won-sung and the others know, Uncle was planning to blow them up. The casino blew up instantly. Seeing the rescued kids, Uncle called the police, but Saomi wasn't there. He spun into a panic, racing to Won-sung's place. But Doon-kun had already taken Saomi into the operating room at that moment.